Hi, everybody. Thank you, Dean Whiting. And congratulations to all the award winners today, and congratulations to all of the students. It's just so heartening to hear about all of your wonderful work. It makes me, as an alumni, very proud. So I'm very thankful to be here today to speak to you on behalf of all GSD alumni. As Sarah mentioned, I'm the co-chair of the Harvard GSD Alumni Council. You can kind of think of us as the student forum for all alumni of the GSD. And I hope to do two things over the next 5 minutes. First, to welcome you all as students to the alumni community as of tomorrow. You'll be part of it. And then second, to let you know that we are here for you as alumni. I'm going to share some very specific ways that we can support you all, especially in light of all of the news unfolding and the uncertainty overall right now. We are here for you. So after tomorrow, as I mentioned, you will be part of the GSD Harvard alumni cohort. Welcome to the club. You're part now of the GSD alumni community. You're also now part of the Harvard alumni community. And there is a lot of weight and responsibility to your induction into this community. And I hope over the next 24 hours you can really feel that weight, the legacy of this place, of this school, and your role as part of that. And I hope you can take it in with each other, especially tomorrow when you're in the yard. It's a pretty powerful moment to share collectively. This is your community. When I started as the co-chair of the Alumni Council, I was explaining what we do as a council to another alum, Abby Turin. She's an MArch alum and on the Dean's Council. And I told her how we make connections between alumni, and we also make a lot of connections between alumni and students. And she just looked at me and said, "Oh, so you make friends." And I was struck by how simple yet profound she made it seem in sound, but it is simple. We make friends and we make connections and we build this community together. This community, your little niche collection of nerdy landscape architects and planners and designers, architects, most importantly, leaders, this community matters now more than ever, and it's you and your friends here in this space today who will lead how our future is shaped. The people with you here will be part of your professional and personal community for the rest of your lives. And I know that might sound a little hyperbolic, but it's true. I met some of my closest friends here. I met my husband here at the Halloween party, no less. Since founding my practice with another GSD alum, a majority of our clients are because of GSD connections. Over half of my coworkers are GSD grads. I realize I might be on the more extreme end of the GSD connection spectrum, but it's very real. So stay friends with your GSD people, become friends with other GSD people. The alumni network that we represent is 15,000 people strong. That's just the GSD. And we are across the globe in every major city and many small communities as well. And we include leaders and literally the most talented designers and thinkers in all major cities, in so many design firms, academic institutions, government agencies, nonprofits. And you can think of all of us as alumni as your future friends. We share this education. It's what connects us, this place, this wacky building behind us. It connects us, and we are here for you all. And so I wanted to share 3 very specific ways that the Alumni Network can support you, especially during this time when so much is unknown and so much feels out of control. So hopefully this can give you a little bit of control. First, the alumni can help you connect to GSDers in your home city. So for students graduating tomorrow, raise your hand if you're moving away from Boston after graduation. All right, great. I'm going to wager a bet that there is at least one, if not more, GSD alums in your new city. And once you find one, they all move in a pack, and you will find others. For context, in Pittsburgh, where I'm based, there are 35 of us, and soon to be one more. Hayden is out there somewhere. Woohoo. Pittsburgh. And so I recommend that you ask Career Services to help you find alums in your home region. They will help you create what I call a GSD friend list, and I recommend that you reach out to at least one person on that list, and you'll be surprised, as I said, how quickly connecting with one will snowball into connections with many alumni. Second, we can help you tap into the larger Harvard network. When I was here at the GSD, I didn't think much about beyond the GSD, but it's out there, and it's very powerful. And the joke is, the farther away you get from campus, the more impressive it is that you went to Harvard. And while I found this to be somewhat true, I've also found that the farther I am from Cambridge, the more meaningful it is when I find other alums, whether they're from the business school or the Kennedy School or from the dental school. There's a shared affinity for this place and a very, very specific experience that we all shared. So, your next task, I want you to go to a Harvard Alumni Association event in your city and bring one of your new GSD friends from your list that you've made. You guys can be your wing people at this event. And I would also recommend finding other Harvard alums through the Harvard Alumni Directory. It's a little dry. It's like an OG Facebook online situation where all Harvard alums are present, and you can filter by location and degree type, and you can find anybody, and if you send a message, it sends an email to any alum. It's amazing and a very powerful resource. Third and lastly, the alums can help you all bring other alums together. One of the most meaningful ways that the GSD Alumni Council connects alumni is through events, bringing people together in a shared space. And we would love to help you bring all of your new and old GSD friends together. So I'm going to ask each of you, this is your last piece of GSD homework, to reach out to an alumni council member. So there are 50 of us on the Alumni Council, and we're all over the globe. Our information is on the GSD website. Reach out to one of us and help us plan an event. You bring the fresh, new grad energy, and we'll bring the resources. We have money to pay for events. You can also, if you want, bring the disco horse to an event. It's always very popular. We can host a big party. It can be a small gathering. It could be a meetup after a local lecture, a site visit to a cool project in your town, a tiny gathering to discuss current events and what we're going to do about it. This is how you start building community, and we can help you do that. Tomorrow, our alumni community is going to grow by 380, all of you, and you are now part of this community. We are excited to meet you and become friends. Thank you and welcome. And now I am very honored to introduce Malkit Shoshan, your 2025 Class Day speaker, to the podium. Malkit is the 2024-2025 Senior Loeb Scholar at the GSD. She is not only a designer, but a researcher and writer, as well as the founding director of the architecture think tank FAST. And I know we're all very much looking forward to your remarks, so thank you.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, it's really exciting to be here this afternoon. I'd like to start by thanking Dean Whiting for this invitation, for your unwavering leadership, guidance, and support. You've led us through many challenging moments, and today is no exception. Thank you. To our students, congratulations. You've worked incredibly hard, and today is truly a special occasion to celebrate your academic achievements. I had the pleasure of working closely with many of you over the past years, and I've been involved with the school in various capacities, so it's very humbling to be here today and share a few words with all of you just before you embark on new chapters in your lives. Over the past couple of years, you have immersed yourself in the practice of making space by design. Physical space, from residential homes and commercial buildings to public parks, urban landscapes, libraries, museums, and even cemeteries. And you've learned how to use design thinking to make another kind of space for new programs, policies, and relations to take place. You've learned how to connect things, problems, interests, and publics through design. You have also become intimately involved in shaping the built environment, our human habitat, which profoundly influences our lived experiences, our relations with our surrounding, and our interactions with one another, for better and for worse. And today, I invite you to reflect on the very foundation of our designs, the ground, the world beneath our feet. In recent years, the ground beneath us has felt increasingly unstable. made to tremble over and over again by events that keep reshaping our lives and our world. We stand on ground that feels unsteady, shaken by the changing climate, by growing disparities, by global crisis of democracy, and by the ongoing attack on academic freedom. Yet, it is precisely in these moments of instability that we can discover the greatest opportunities for transformation and hope. The challenges we face, whether we fight for climate resilience, for gender equality, or against other injustices, remind us of our collective capacity to adapt, to rebuild, and to imagine a better future. In the past few years, we have witnessed this world in our palms through a stream of raw images of such events. High-resolution, real-time footage collapses vast distances into the intimate space between our eyes and our mobile devices, domesticating the news with eerie proximity. And we are reminded in this new awareness of so many things happening at once that we bear witness and we bear responsibility and that we can act. And yet we are at a distance, we are paralyzed behind the screens. How, we might ask, can we move beyond this influx of information and into action? How can we influence change? As spatial planners that draw future projections, I wonder if our work, whether through architecture, landscape architecture, urban planning, or all the school additional engagement strategies with our complex world, can we transform despair into hope? We can visualize our drawing and practices in environments rooted in justice, resilience, and compassion, and how they look like. My work is situated at the intersection of spatial design and human rights, where we use architecture, urban planning, and participatory design processes to make visible matters of concerns and co-develop alternative visions by design. Our first projects, done already decades ago, were in Israel-Palestine, where I'm from and where a violent war is ongoing. The distant footage we all see of this war is for me accompanied by daily personal stories of my family in Israel and my friends in Gaza, who are all going through horrific time. This feeling of trembling ground of Gaza persists like grief. It comes and goes, catching you off guard, collapsing moments in time and space into each other, reminding all that has been and is being lost. In regarding the pain of others, the writer Susan Sontag pointed out that our biggest shortcoming is our lack of imagination and empathy. When we see the pain and suffering that others go through, we need to let it affect us in a meaningful way. Instead of becoming numb or indifferent, we should let these experiences push us to act. The images we see of conflict and destruction are staggering, and yet within them we can see the extraordinary strength of human spirit. I remember a conversation with my friend from Gaza telling me how infants who lost their parents in the war are being adopted and taken care of by other women, by other mothers, and being breastfed by them. Across history, and across borders, oppressed and vulnerable peoples have shown relentless resilience, an unyielding desire to rebuild and renew. So today, with so much at stake, I urge you to see the trembling ground beneath your feet, not as a sign of fragility, but as a foundation for hope. Your talent, your voices, and your compassion to forge new paths. Because even in times of uncertainty, we hold both individual agency and collective power. The future is not written, it is ours to create. Beneath the trembling ground, as the writer Franz Kafka taught us, lies the promise of new creation, and a lesson about hope, and a lesson about love. So indeed, our connection to the ground ran deeper than mere metaphor. In Hebrew, my mother tongue, the words ground, human, and blood are pronounced as Adama, Adam, and Dam. These three words, ground, human, and blood, are etymologically intertwined, suggesting that all human beings are literally of the earth, composed of the same elemental matter. Human existence is considered both the fact of physically inhabiting the earth, being human, and of existing as a spiritual being with consciousness that reflect on our connection to the planet and to all living beings. From an environmental and ecological perspective, ground refers to Earth's surface, where various ecological processes occur. It is a vital interface for integration among organisms and their habitats. The ground is not only a deposit of physical matter that serves as the foundation for life. It is also shaped by the narratives we create and the actions we take. Each layer of soil holds the stories of past generations, shaped by cultural histories and the continuous interactions with the land, whether through our agricultural and landscaping practices, urban development, and environmental stewardship, or lack thereof. We leave lasting imprints on the ground, altering its composition and ecosystems it supports. The ground bears witness to our actions when we build a house, plant crops, construct a power plant, drop a bomb, or cultivate space for other living beings to thrive. It encompasses the burdens of exploitation and the promise of healing. The nuclear scientist David Bohm described the Earth as one household, all of it one household. We are the Earth because all our substance comes from and returns to it. The ground is part of us, and it is also where we find our feet, where we mark our presence and on and as part of the Earth. To engage in a meaningful way with this relationship, we must ground ourselves not just physically, but intellectually and ethically. As students, educators, practitioners, and as humans, we bear vital responsibility to do the work of grounding our exploration in knowledge. Knowledge shaped by science, rooted in place, or drawn from indigenous epistemologies, and to approach this grounding with care and humility. School is indeed a place of learning, but real growth does not end when you leave those doors. In fact, grounding your knowledge is a lifelong practice that continues throughout your journey. Every project, every decision, every interaction is an opportunity to deepen your grounding in what is true, what is just, and what is meaningful. As Donna Haraway teaches us in her extensive writing, the only way to make sense of the world is to ask where knowledge comes from, who it serves, and what its consequences are. This practice of questioning keeps us mindful of the relationship between the stories we tell and the worlds we create. It reminds us that the stories we choose to tell and how we choose to tell them can profoundly shape our reality. As Haraway puts it, it matters which stories make worlds and which worlds make stories. Our stories do not just describe the world, they actively create it. So as you go forward, remember that grounding your knowledge is a continual act, one that will keep your work deeply rooted, your mind curious, and your heart open. This act of grounding also extends directly into the way we represent space, relationships, and ideas through our daily practices as designers. Representation is at the heart of what we do at the GSD. Across all our programs, architecture, urban design, urban planning, real estate, landscape architecture, design engineering, and design and doctoral studies, we draw. We draw lines, we draw relations, we draw conclusions. In these drawings, the ground is often represented as a thin line, one abstract line that serves as both a literal and metaphorical foundation upon which we construct our understanding of the present and our visions for the future. This line acts as the first layer in our designs, a ground zero. We take time to study where this line lands, and we gradually add more lines, creating connections, placing elements on and around it: home, neighborhood, road, park, library, museum, hospital, new city. We establish relationships between one component and another, exploring cross-section and intersection between various programs and actors. We create webs of relationships that derive from older existing narratives, or we envision new ones. We draw to represent the relationship we wish to cultivate, be they relationship based on time, past, present, future, in space, existing and imagined spaces, or in our social lives. The ground, unlike a simple thin line or a blank canvas, is a rich and ever-changing world, filled with life, stories, cultures, and ecosystems. Our drawings, designs, and ideas emerge from and unfold within this complex and vibrant reality, simultaneously shaping it and being shaped by it. Lines on a map or a plan can represent a variety of features within a landscape. A single line might depict the ground level in an elevation drawing, and in a plan, it can be a wall of a building, the edge of a property parcel, the division between residential and agricultural zones, the demarcation of a national border, or the perimeter of a restricted zone. These linear elements convey critical information about the organization of society and our relationship with the land, with the ground. Yet, it is important to recognize that these lines are not neutral. They embody histories, conflicts, and stories about place. The line we draw shape the narratives we live by, reflecting deeper tension and meanings inherent in our shared spaces. In her book, The Faraway Nearby, the writer Rebecca Solnit reminds us that stories are all in the telling. Stories are compasses and architecture, she writes. We navigate by them, we build our sanctuaries and our prisons out of them. To be without a story is to be lost in the vastness of a world that spreads in all directions, like Arctic tundra or sea ice. And to love someone is to put yourself in their place, which is to put yourself in their story, or figure out how to tell yourself their story. The ground on which we design is not a neutral canvas, but rather a contested land and territory, one with its own many stories superimposed on and over each other. The ground carries histories, power dynamics, and claim of ownerships and control. It carries memories and meanings. The lines we inscribe on this landscape both reflect and shape these underlying territorial disputes and social conflicts. Our design choices, whether explicit or implicit, can serve to reinforce or challenge this existing order of things. We decide which stories to embed within our choices and which histories to invoke as we engage with the ground. As such, the act of drawing a line, whether on a map or a section, is often a political act. It demarcates and organizes space in ways that can have significant implications for the lives and livelihoods of those who inhabit or stake a claim to that territory. As designers, we need to remain attentive to these complex social and spatial relationships and consider the potential consequences of the lines we choose to draw. My personal experience in architecture, studying how we shape the built environment, made me realize how deeply space and politics are intertwined. During my studies at the Technion in Haifa, I was asked to design on a land rich with history and stories of belonging, lands shaped by ancient cultures, farming traditions, and vibrant communities that had been either preserved or erased by our designs. Architecture, landscape architecture, and urban design are powerful tools. They can reinforce broad societal ideas and transform people's lives by shaping or dismantling their environments, all through the act of designing. We can design a prison or a sanctuary, walls that close us off, or gateways that welcome others in, either hell or paradise. And sometimes the design serves both purposes, offering paradise to some and hell to others. This realization weighed heavily on me, prompting a deep ethical reflection. As a student, I decided to not fully follow the class assignments. Instead of designing a building, I began drawing maps that illustrate multiple layers of histories and overlapping narratives, often in tension or conflict with one another, that together represented what we can call a contested ground. I layered these maps, turning different layers on and off, adding and removing them sequentially, and gradually became familiar with the extended history of my country. This was a story I wasn't taught in school or university, but one I explored through archival research, fieldwork, and engagement with human rights organizations, among other sources. This process wasn't about opposing building or design itself, but about grounding myself and gaining deeper understanding of the complex history and meaning that shape the places we live in, and the role we have within these intricate processes. To draw again on Haraway's words, we must wonder where our knowledge begins, who it serves, and what it leaves behind. We must also seek to understand the purpose behind our designs, what they do, who they help, and how they ripple through all those affected by them. Only by acknowledging and understanding these deeply rooted forces, we can start creating new kind of spaces that liberate not only our imagination, but also the imagination of the publics we serve, helping all of us envision a future otherwise. We need to remember that the ground beneath our feet is not merely a passive stage upon which these dramas unfold, but an active participant in the ongoing struggle for justice and ecological well-being. This complexity cannot be navigated alone. It requires a collective action, and for all of us to extend ourselves and engage in the act of creating a common ground. In a world filled with division and uncertainty, the idea of common ground offers us a space to pause and reflect, providing a shared understanding that binds us all, human nature and the future we shape together. It urges us to recognize our shared humanity, acknowledging that at our core, we all seek connection, safety, and meaning. To find this ground, we must listen to each other's stories. When we put ourselves in the place of others, we build bridges of empathy. This act of seeing the world through someone else's perspective is where we begin sowing our common ground with new meaning. It is where we recognize the values and hopes we all hold in common. But common ground isn't limited to relationships among humans. It also encompasses our relationship with the land itself, our home, the ground beneath our feet. The earth is not just a property to own or use at will. It is a living community we belong to. When we treat the land with love and respect, we recognize we are caretakers, not owners and not occupiers. Our responsibilities stretch across generations, requiring us to think long-term, to repair what has been damaged, and to nurture the land so it can sustain life in all its forms. We are not separate from nature. We are part of it, and our well-being depends on its health. Building on this understanding, we need to cultivate spaces, physical and social, that embody shared responsibility. These are spaces that thrive that invite diverse voices, where collaboration and respect are the building and guiding principles. Design and community effort becomes acts of care, sanctuaries for shared life, places where all lives can thrive. Recognizing our interconnectedness and also opens a pathway toward hope. The design of the built environment, whether building landscapes or the spaces in between, requires an interdisciplinary approach that is deeply grounded in place, community, and the planet. As we move through a world that is increasingly complex and fragmented, we begin to see that design can bring people and ideas together, bridge disciplinary divide, and mend what has been broken. This approach, this ground for hope, emphasizes mending by design. Mending in this context involves more than physical repair. It can help repair relationships between people, places, and ecosystem by revealing how seemingly isolated objects or spaces are, in fact, part of a larger interconnected web. What if these connections could form our common ground, grounds for hope designed with care? And indeed, we don't need to invent these connections anew. During the COVID-19 pandemic, I spent about a year living in a house in the middle of the forest, where I experienced my connection with nature differently, more intimately than I ever had in the city. This profound experience made clear to me that the ground beneath us is alive with energy and wisdom. It continuously shows us the beauty of creation, like a seed that grows and blooms into a flower, and the flower's ovary swelling into fruit. The ground gives rise to intricate shapes and forms, embodying the very act of creation itself. The ground pulses with life. It is our home and our teacher. My hope is that for you, the GSD serves as a kind of metaphorical ground. I hope it is a place where you constantly seek beauty and imagine new life within the forms you design. As you live here today, you remain not only connected to the world, but also to each other. Through the diverse projects you've undertaken and the ideas you've nurtured, I hope you have discovered the beauty of being an active part of this world. Above all, I hope that your time at the GSD has provided you with grounding that fosters deep and lasting engagement with design, beauty, knowledge, and justice, and a broad consciousness of your role, not just as brilliant designers, but as thoughtful human beings woven into this incredibly complex web of life. May the knowledge, awareness, and relationship you've cultivated here remain with you, much like the interconnectedness of the ground beneath us, forming enduring bond as each of you moves confidently toward the future. Good luck and congratulations.